Start with a two-word question, if I could. Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, where do I start? I mean, that's just elite two-way basketball, that he exhibited tonight. He was doing it on both ends. He had his 1 through 5 where he was guarding everybody on the floor at some point, like Bam always does. And then he was just terrific offensively. I just think I thought he was really assertive. He was making quick decisions. And we really needed that in the second half. They were, giving us everything that we thought that they would give us in this game. We felt like this would be, a true, game one. He was just really assertive. Everybody will, talk about the threes, but he just has a knack for making whatever play is needed, for your team at whatever moment. And those were really decisive threes, but his attacks, his playmaking, just settling us at key moments was just really key for us offensively.
There was obviously a playoff level of physicality out there, and rotations got very disjointed because of foul trouble. How crucial was it that you had a bunch of guys with 3 and Jimmy had none? I think at that point, I'm not sure. I don't even know what he had in the game. He had none in the game.
Right.
How critical is that he was able to play his usual rhythm while you're moving lots of other parts?
Yeah, you just really have to just manage, the game, whatever happens. You don't anticipate that'll happen, but I thought Caleb gave us some really good minutes. PJ, slid over to the 5, and that was the group that really, got us to the double-digit lead. A crazy amount of energy, and then we were playing off of a lot of those misses and, blocks and, defensive stops and just getting out in the open court. And then when we really needed to settle it, everybody knew that the ball was going to Jimmy, and we were able to just really get organized offensively. But that was a big spark for our team that you're not necessarily anticipating that'll happen, but that's the kind of things that really, develop during the playoffs. That's why we always say all hands on deck. You have to be ready at moment's notice. There is no 9-man rotation. It's a full 15-man rotation at any point during the game. You just have to be ready. And we were able to pivot, during, somewhat of an unpredictable foul trouble situation with Bam, and we were able to, turn that into a positive.
Made some adjustments, obviously, with John Collins in the starting lineup and the way they used Trey a little bit. How do you feel you guys played, defended them tonight, just with those adjustments and adjusting to those adjustments?
Yeah, look, this is a great offensive team, that you're lining up against, particularly when they're healthy. And Collins adds a totally different mix, because of his ability to score the ball. He's a great speed roll guy, but he can also catch and finish in the paint. He has range. But they have weapons all over the place. They have shooting. They're like us. They have, three-point shooting everywhere on the roster. So your pickup points are a lot further than they are, against most opponents. But that's why they have number 2 offense, and they have our full respect.
It also seemed like you couldn't take Gabe out of the game there in the fourth quarter. I think he played the whole quarter. What did his impact tonight defensively and also offensively with hitting big shots?
Really along the same lines of what I was saying about Jimmy. Not to the explosive offense that Jimmy was able to provide, but it's the two-way basketball that's important. You're playing against a really good offensive team like that. And they're a disruptive defensive team. Since All-Star break, they do a really good job of forcing turnovers. They did that to us, particularly in that first half. So Gabe, can do a lot of different things, to contribute. He can defend. He can guard multiple positions. He spent a lot of time on Young, Bogdanovich, and then on down the roster. But then also, offensively, he's a threat. He's a great three-point shooter, but he can also facilitate for you, get you into offense, play off the ball. All the things that he's really been trying to develop for the last 2.5 years. They kind of built for a moment like this.
to continue on the theme with Gabe, and you mentioned it after game one, he's mature for his years, it seems like, and it seems like that helps you have the confidence in him. The way he approaches these moments, do you see him as someone that you don't look at as a second or third year player, but as someone who...
I certainly don't. No, I feel like we've had him for 10 years, and a big part of that was that he played for us for EG in Sioux Falls, so he already was indoctrinated into our culture, and then the bubble, but he was, we had nothing else to do except for go to the gym. He was working out, doing player development, like literally 4 times a day. So really got immersed into our program. By the time we left the bubble, it felt like he had been developing with us for 5 years. And then, a great year last year. Everybody was focusing on the wrong things. Everybody was focusing on his three-point percentage. It was just crazy. We were developing a different position for him, and he was a real pest defensively and really developing into a new position. He was a gunslinging two-guard that we're developing into a backup point guard combo guard, and he embraced that, and it's been an incremental process for over 2.5 years. It's not like it happened overnight, and he's not a 20-year-old. Played 4 years in college, and G League for 2 years, and then in our program for 2.5 years. So to me, he's a vet.
Erik, you obviously have a roster where a lot of guys contribute scoring, but on a night like this where Jimmy's having this night, do you ever say to him, okay, you take over, or do you feel like he's thought that himself? Okay, I'm just gonna take over now.
That's kind of unsaid. It's like get the ball to JB. You could just see it with our play calls. It's not like I have to make play calls. The ball was going to him, tonight. But that's also the beauty of our team. It might be Tyler the next game going down the stretch. It might be Kyle making big plays. It might be Bam, really stepping up and making a bunch of plays. That's how our team is built, and that's how we've operated all season long. But, Jimmy stepped up in a big way tonight on both ends of the court. Just equally as impressive as his offense, he did some amazing things defensively.
You had a player before in Dwayne who could not shoot threes or not shoot threes very well during the regular season and get to the playoffs, and there he makes a couple big ones. Jimmy obviously didn't shoot that well from 3 this season.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a way to explain?
It actually is a good comparison, because if you get in those pressure moments and the moments of truth, if you're on the other side, would you ever want to just give Dwayne Wade an open 3? You would not, because he's a killer. He's gonna seize that moment, and Jimmy has a lot of those same qualities. You can say whatever the percentage, throw those all out. When it becomes about winning, they'll find a way to kill you. You can look at a scouting report, look at numbers, but that's when they kill you the most. And the next game, it might be the free throw line. It might be the attacks. It might be playmaking. That's part of his genius.
Erik, all the in and out that you had this year with players kind of coming and going, you had a chance to experiment with a lot of different combinations and rotations maybe that you wouldn't have otherwise. Playing Kyle and Gabe together, which is something that you did in stretches this year, but for long periods of time today, why do you like that combination?
Well, they're both two-way basketball players. They're both tough. You have playmaking from both of them. Kyle has really mentored him, so I think that's expedited all the development that we started with him, and it just it was on steroids once Kyle got here and put his arms around Gabe. And it just alleviates, a lot of pressure off of Kyle. They just have a great synergy between the two of them. If you can play Kyle off the ball, he's done that a lot, previously, in Toronto. You can play him on the ball, but if he needs, to play off the ball and Gabe get us into offense, we've worked through that now for several months. And there's sometimes things click, with guys. I can see the comparisons, that people probably will make on the outside. Kyle mentoring a young point guard, Van Fleet and Gabe, and I think those are, probably pretty valid.
Spo, not to to diminish the importance of team structure, because we all remember 15 strong, but so often in league history, the team that's the last one standing, it kind of comes down to who your best player is. What type of confidence do you guys have as a group in Jimmy being that guy?
Yeah, I think everybody's looking for storylines, and everybody's looking for the same conventional box for winning a championship. It can be done in a lot of different ways. Jimmy is a max guy, a go-to guy, a killer. Like, however you want to describe it, like, who cares? He knows how to win. He knows how to help teams win. And the game is played on both sides of the floor. It's played with IQ. It's played with toughness. It's played with, making plays in those winning moments. It's not necessarily what everybody thinks it is, but I don't have, time for a whole diatribe about that. He's just a winner, and he showed that tonight.
Talked a lot about Gabe and then also Caleb, two guys who played bigger roles tonight than in game one. What about tonight's game dictated going away from Duncan?
Well, Caleb was just, he gave us some great minutes, and we were without Bam, and, we had to pivot. And that lineup really, took us from, basically a possession game. We got to double digits. We let it roll. It wasn't necessarily something I had planned, and it could be different next game. That's what playoffs are about. You can't be rigid.
And then you were after game one, you were talking about it can be unfortunate when you have to make a rotation change because of the narrative outside of your room with Duncan.
Yeah, I think about that in December, January, February. I'm not thinking about that now.
I know that, but since you made that change, you've won every game other than the Magic game where nobody played. Going back to that day, how hard of a day was it for you to have to talk to Duncan about that, and then also to talk to Max about it and how each guy has responded?
Yeah, those are, they're also high-class problems. You got really talented guys, and we're trying to do something that's really tough to do, and trying to compete for a title. It's the hardest thing you can ever do in team sports. It requires sacrifice. It requires guys committing to a role and utilizing your entire menu of your roster. Sometimes it's your opportunity, sometimes it's not, and you just got to give in to the team. And Duncan has proven in big moments that he can make a difference. He's so ignitable. It may be a next game, it may not be. We'll see. But he's always going to be steady. He's going to have that perseverance and grit, and he'll be ready. It wasn't the plan tonight. All right.
Sorry.
We've had to have covered it all.
We'll find out, right? Early on, it seemed like the 50-50 balls were breaking more, maybe
They were killing us.
70-30 in the first half.
90-10.
Just how frustrating is that? Is there anything to combat that?
Yeah, should have seen our locker room. You think that whatever that was a month ago, you should have seen, like, at halftime. All right, thank you.